Hi, everybody, and welcome to a Gem of a Secret podcast. My name is Donatella My Secrets.
And my name is Coco Gem Holiday.
I'm still here.
And that's Autumn. How you doing tonight, Coco?
Actually, I went to this new neighborhood bar called The Saloon that got me a little toasty. So,
Yeah.
Thank goodness for finally finding a way to drink before these episodes.
And Autumn, too. Toasty.
Yeah, no, she pulled me out of the basement and let me leave the house for once. It was great.
Yeah, I try not to. Honestly, she gets too much air. She gets, unbearable.
Yeah. Anytime she makes a mistake, Coco's like, back in the hole.
Also, people might worry if they see me.
I legit at one point thought that Autumn was going to be moving into our basement.
I did too.
I don't know
actually.
where I got the idea from, but I was like, oh, I think because our house flooded, I was like, Autumn's going to be living in our basement now.
I did too. And then, Kyle even made it seem like it was a reality. He's like, well, there's a mattress down there.
Which is was my I can't stay at Coco and Donna's house for too long because their straight roommate Kyle would hate me. But then he was like, "Oh no, she's just gonna live here," and I was like, "That is the green light, bitch. Lord sang about this, and I'm good." Coco, what are you wearing?
So today I decided to go with more a fat girl pinup. So I'm in an outfit that doesn't fit at all, which I'm wearing my breast form and it's gorgeous and I have curves for days. I'm also wearing this cute updo.
That's the word.
Thank you.
She's been struggling with words tonight. Donna, what are you wearing?
Oh, I'm wearing, it's actually just a costume right out of the bag. It's a Godzilla costume. I really wanted to be a dinosaur when I was a kid, so I'm embracing my inner child tonight.
That's why she got into heels, because she walking on her toes like dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly.
I am wearing big pop letters that say "Rain on Me," and kind of circa Raja season 3. There's a dick shooting semen under my head. Cause come on, rain on me.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
You see it. I don't understand why you're so shocked. She brings it to you every ball.
Actually, I just thought it was rain that was a little milky, but now that I have the description, I'm appalled.
You didn't realize that it's not a cloud and it's just a giant dick?
By the way, if you hear a little bit of pitter-patter, it is raining here.
Oh my god, the Pacific Northwest is Pacific Northwesting for the first time in literal months.
Yeah, we've been on fire.
Yeah, we have been on fire.
It's not been great.
So when this episode releases, I do want everybody to know our air quality is pretty good. It did rain a lot over the last week, and we are safe.
Coco's just saying this so her mom stops calling her worried.
Absolutely the same truth. But for our listeners out there, we are safe. It is raining. We are good. And I know we always start these episodes off with a lot of funny things, but we are talking. So we're on a 4 or 5 part series about coming out of the closet. And so last week's episode was about my coming out journey, and Autumn's, actually. So this week, we're going to be doing Donatella My Secrets coming out story, and then next week we'll be doing Touche Douche's coming out story. And so Donna's going to go into her stuff, but we want to let everybody know out there, if you do need to talk about these subjects or these issues, make sure that you reach out to us. And there's lots of resources out there on the internet. We know that these subjects are really hard to talk about, and we're giving you guys our story, so hopefully you can relate to it, or maybe even get some questions answered, because all of us are healthy, we're thriving, we're in good headspaces, we're really recognizing our peace and growing as individuals. So even though at a time in our life when it wasn't the greatest, we're doing okay now. So
for Touche's episode, we'll all know what not to do. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, no, gosh. She keeps talking about the trauma, and I'm just waiting to hear. So I'm handing it over to Donna, and I'm going to interrupt her with questions throughout, kind of like an interview style.
Yeah.
So, Donna, tell us about your coming out story.
Mine was not a good story. It's not a great one. It led to me having very minimal interaction with my family for a couple of years. So that was kind of a bad situation. But I'll get into it. I came out when I was 19 years old, and it was the end of my freshman year of college. I had dated a girl for 2 years from high school into college.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so I had that March around my birthday had started to really hang out with more people who were different than me, or the same as me, I guess, actually, who were different than who I normally hung out with when I was in high school and stuff.
Where were you
And
living at this time?
I was in Grand Junction, my hometown, where I lived for 27 years of my life. And I started hanging out with more people who were like in theater and stuff, and I was in college and being more introduced to gay people and making friends with gay people and embracing sides of myself that I had hidden away and tried to pray away growing up and wished weren't there because I was told it was always bad. So I ended up, I was sitting in the living room with my parents, and I had referred a new friend who was gay and I guess a little apparently gay to my dad's work. My dad worked at the grocery store, and I was in college at the time, and my friend was going to school with me, and he needed a job, so I referred him. And my dad, after the interview, he's like, yeah, your friend was nice. Is he gay? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, I just wanted to know. And so him and my mom got to talking, and my mom sat me down in the living room and was like, so why are you friends with those types of people?
Oh my God.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they were just drilling me, asking questions, like drilling me, and just drilling me with questions while I'm sitting there in the living room, and I'm like, don't know really like how to react or what to say because I wasn't ready to come out just right then, you know, like it was a lot. And so I removed myself from the situation and I took off. I got in my car and I drove over to my friend Emily's apartment, and she at that time was becoming a closer friend to me and is still to this day like my best friend, one of my best friends. I have many. And I remember taking time to talk with her about it because I'd come out to her previously. I had come out to a couple of friends, and this was, you know, when my family was starting to kind of catch on. And we spent the night just talking about it, watching stuff, watching Glee together and watching our favorite shows, and helping me build up the courage. I had a little bit to drink too because it helped with the nerves at the time, and I didn't really talk to my family while I was there. And I ended up kind of hanging out with her that night and trying to build up the courage. So the next day I go home, and it's a very oppressive mood in the house when I got there.
Were you living at home or on campus? You were at home though.
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah.
I was living at home with my parents because it was cheaper, and
Right,
I had
right.
yeah. And I immediately went right to my room and hung out at there for a little bit, and I forgot to say, I had also told my sister at this point.
Oh.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And she was very scared for me.
Oh, jeez.
She was terrified because she knew how my parents were going. She knew that it would be a bad reaction.
How long before you told your parents did you tell your sister?
How long before? Probably just like a couple of days.
Okay.
I would say that it was a couple of days before this, or maybe a day.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she was scared for me. And I just remember seeing my sister, and she was just kind of looking a little scared for me when I came back into the house, and I went into my room and I laid down. And my mom was kind of laying in her bed and hadn't really, like, I could tell that she hadn't really gotten up for the day or really done anything, and it was probably into the afternoon at this point. And she got up and came into my room, and the way that I said it was, I left and I was mad that you said, how could you be friends with those people, because I think I am one of those people.
Oh, did you say...
I said I think.
I think.
I know, we talked about that.
I said I think.
If you haven't heard the last week's episode, everybody, we talk about I think, and it is not the best way to do that.
And then there were, yeah. So after that, there were a lot more questions, because that's what I think does. It leaves
all of the open
all of
questions.
the open questions.
It's a phase.
I think is a Christian's favorite thing because everything that they believe in is based on thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
And
That's not wrong, honestly. It gives them the open door to question.
Yeah. So I said I think, and that it really
So let's unpack this moment. By the way, for me and Donna have been friends for a very long time, and we kind of know about each other's stories to a degree, like the pivotal points, obviously. But so I'm going to go into this trauma with her. So after you said, I think I'm one of those people, what's the first thing that your mom says after that?
I think it probably was you think. It was questioning that. And
Really?
so she asked if I still liked girls, and I said yes, I think so, you know, and even though I had told myself beforehand no, like I'm not. And I had kind of come out to my friends as bi at that time too, because I wasn't quite ready to I was like, I think I'm bi or something. I'm experiencing feelings for guys and gay men because I was hanging around them and I was like, ooh, I'm attracted to them. And so yeah, and I mean, obviously it was something that I had known about myself since I was 12, since I was young, you know, since puberty, and it's something I had always wished wasn't a part of me. But yeah, so she was asking, and so I was trying to get my foot to go in the water, and I came out as bi originally, and I told her that I like guys more than I like girls. I'm more into guys. And immediately it was bad. At first it was sadness, and I asked her if she could love me anymore, and she said, I don't know.
Oh my God, that is heartbreaking. Your mom said,
She said, I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That is terrible.
She started getting angry after that, and
Wait, where's your dad right now?
at work still.
Okay.
My dad is still at work.
not hiring gay people.
Seriously.
My dad is still at work. He actually did have other gay people working for him. But I think he did end up hiring my friend, but then my friend quit very quickly, or just didn't show up. But
So, tell us more about the conversation, because that's the point that I think our listeners really want to know.
Yeah. So then she got really mad and started getting really into the vulgarities of like sex. For some people for some reason, people who think that who think of gay, they automatically think of the act rather than the person. And so she was talking about the act and how it's disgusting and unnatural and stuff like that, and that I was going to get AIDS and die. And
She said you're going to get AIDS and die?
Yes. She was very, very mad.
Oh
and
my gosh.
I don't know how the conversation ended in that moment. I know that it ended with her leaving my room and going into her room, and my dad, we were talking about it for quite some time, and she went online and kind of was just looking stuff up, and I noticed that she was doing that. And my dad came home. I heard him come home, and I went into the room right as he was coming in the room, and she's like, so do you want to tell your dad what you told me?
Oh gosh, hearing this is really difficult, to be honest.
And I told him, I was like, yeah, Dad, I like guys,
Is that what you said?
Yeah, I said that. And my dad's first response was, are you fucking kidding me?
You're gonna make me cry. It's a little...
And then after that, he waited for a little bit, and he goes, well, I still do love you. You're still my son. And that was kind of the extent of the interaction of me and my dad coming out for that period of time. And so I went back to my room. I decided that I was going to spend the least amount of time at that house as I could, because I was scared to be there anymore. didn't know if the people who had raised me for that much of my life loved me. I know my dad told me he did. My mom wasn't sure. I think I ended up going back and sleeping at Emily's that night. They did tell me that same day, if you're going to be out and open about this, then you're not going to be living under this roof. And I ended up coming back to the house, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm making this decision to live authentically because it's something I've hidden for a long time and kept secret and not been able to express, even though over the years there's definitely been hints of it. You know, things have definitely come up. It was something that they knew, I think, but they acted like it was a big shock. And they said, if you're going to stay here, then you need to get help for this. Then we're going to take you to church, and you're going to see a priest and or a someone who a pastor who is also good at counseling people who have this type of problem, this type of issue.
Oh my God.
And I told them no. I'm 19 years old. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to see someone because I don't need fixed. At this point, even though I was hesitant about labeling who I was very adamant about coming out full force and being me, because I had hidden it for too many years. So I told them I'm not going to do that, and so I guess that gives me no choice but to leave. And they were like, yes, that's that.
I feel like it's a really opportune time, because I need a minute to ask Donna how she's doing this evening.
Well, let's get back to that after this brief commercial break. Are you ready for the next digital interactive drag experience? Tune in for Spoopy Introvert on Saturday, October 3rd at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with queens from the Boulet Brothers Dragula and Camp Wanakiki. Tickets are only $5, and you can buy them online at thecdsdrag.com/introvert. That's thecdsdrag.com/introvert.
It's a podcast with Coco and Donatella podcast. Tune into What They Tell You podcast with Coco and Donatella podcast.
Well, I'm just extremely happy right now. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm revisiting trauma right now. So I actually haven't told this story in a long time. I was just telling you as we were taking a break. So it's nice to sit down and actually talk about it again. But, yeah.
So you say no. You say that you're not going to go into whatever horrible thing that was still legal at the time.
It wasn't.
Colorado.
I mean, and they didn't have it lined up, but they were essentially wanting me to go to conversion therapy. Yes, and at the time, because I was over 18 now, I could say no, so I said no, but that meant that I had to leave then, and so I did.
So I wanted to ask. So obviously you're getting your stuff to leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it was probably the same day or the next day.
No, it was. It took about a week because I wanted to make sure that I had a place. So I had a week to find a place, and this meant me telling now everyone in my scholarship program that I had known for the last year that I'm gay now and I'm getting kicked out by my parents and I need to find a place to live.
Jesus.
So I told everyone that was in my scholarship program, and eventually as I started to get to tell more people, I just started coming out as gay. I stopped saying the whole bi thing, and even to this day, like I'm like 98, and then I'm maybe off 2%. But like I at this point I was just coming out full-fledged as gay to people, and because I knew that's what I was. And a lot of people really rallied around me. I was lucky because as bad of experiences as I had in college being out, throughout like my entire college experience, that first year people really rallied behind me, and I ended up getting people to help me find a house that a friend was getting out of her lease in. and I was able to take that over and move into a place really quick. It wasn't ideal, but
How did you pay for it?
I was working as an orientation leader that summer for the university. And so I had saved up a little bit of money because I was living at my parents' over the summer, just doing orientations. And I was able to like put enough down to like cover a deposit and rent.
So what were the conversations like during that week while you were moving out? Did they talk to you? What was said?
It was very venomous. I didn't run into my dad a whole lot. My dad helped me move my bed. He helped me move a couple of big things. And he didn't say much. My dad always was the more loving in this entire situation. My dad always was very loving. I was always much closer with my mom. But my dad had to hold it together because my mom couldn't. And even though we were distant, like he still did have my back and reach out. My mom said really venomous things. She would leave papers that she had printed out of AIDS statistics, and
oh my god.
she would leave them in my room.
Oh my god.
And it was her way of trying to scare me.
Oh my god.
And suicide statistic, just all sorts of stuff basically disparaging gay men, and they were all from very religious sites and stuff. And
oh my god.
yeah, so eventually though it got to a breaking point, and we got into a screaming match at each other as I was moving my stuff out, and she was screaming some vulgarities and stuff at me, and I looked to her and very calmly and kind of crazy, I said, Mom, when you yell like that, you look really fucking ugly. And my mom is a woman
She's very pretty.
appearances are important, and she immediately was offended and hurt, and I knew that was the thing that I could say to get her to like leave me alone in that moment. So I did. I finished up packing up my stuff and I left. I did it, I think, to like spite them, which is very shitty. But I left certain things that they had like given me in that room that I didn't take with me.
I didn't know that.
I did. And they were hurt by that. There were like certain like keepsakes that my dad had like passed down to me that I left in the room. And because they had also in this whole week told me that they had felt like they were mourning a loss, that I was dead.
Oh my god.
They had told me they felt like I was dead and I wasn't there anymore, even though I was there.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, I ended up getting fully moved out of my parents' house, and over the next 2 years, I saw them very minimally, pretty much on holidays, and if they'd reach out and ask me to lunch every once in a while. There were even some birthdays I didn't wish anyone happy birthday. I didn't, or I forgot to, or, I wasn't present because I couldn't be. I remember,
So what was the first conversation you had with either your mom or your dad after you left?
There were a lot of nasty ones that happened throughout that fall. I remember specifically in like September or October, my mom saw that I had liked a drag queen's page, and she called me flipping out and saying like, you like that disgusting stuff, and like screaming at me over the phone. And so like they were still like, it was really hard to talk to them for months. Like I completely had to like cut myself off from them because it was bad, and I was not living, I was living the best I could because I was very much so in the basic survival mode, trying to get by, because I wasn't making much money as an orientation leader over the summer. And when school started, I had to find a completely new job that because orientation was only over the summer.
Right.
So
oh my god.
So it was stressful. It was an extremely stressful situation. I was dealing with a lot of stress, a lot of trauma. Also, in this time, I had gotten jumped on my campus for being gay and holding hands with a guy on campus. So I would say the next actual like civil conversation that we had probably again was Thanksgiving, and that was because I didn't bring up anything about myself really. My grandma invited me to Thanksgiving, and she said, "Just don't bring it up. Just don't bring anything up."
That makes me so sad. And it's funny because I know that, like in the last episode, I know that my mom never said those words to me about the family reunion, but it was like so heavily implied. And it does feel like, it's like, you can be around us, just don't, the queer stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God.
So, that was the first time that we kind of hung out again. And I had actually initially had Thanksgiving plans with my boyfriend at the time, who was 10 years older than me.
When did you start dating him?
I started dating him, oh gosh.
Like, how long after you moved out, or before you moved out?
Oh, that was the second. Okay, so no, that was a different Thanksgiving. I didn't spend this Thanksgiving with, actually that was the Thanksgiving the year after I came out, so I'm getting him confused. I started dating him though, as I was 19. It was after I had come out. It was, I would say that we started dating that winter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, how long did you and him date? Just how long did you and him date?
On and off for like the course of like 6 months, I would say. 8 months. It was on and off for a very long period of time, and then until I stopped letting him manipulate me.
Well, and because is this your first boyfriend?
Yes, the first one that lasted like longer than a few weeks, or that wasn't like, oh, I'm done with you after we fuck. Yes, yeah.
Good God. But that's all the same. That's the year you came out too.
Yeah.
Good Lord, that was a really rough year for you, girl.
Yeah, it was bad. It was like a bad year. So I'm in this abusive relationship. Let's fast forward to when me and my family are talking maybe a little bit more, like a year later, and this boyfriend decides to go into my dad's store that he works at and introduce himself to my dad.
Oh wow.
As my boyfriend.
Wow.
So he went, and he was I think a little drunk at the time, because he always was. Mm-hmm. And I ended up spending Thanksgiving with him, and we go back to our friend's house that we're spending it at, and my dad calls me on the phone, and he was like, someone came in today and introduced themselves to me, and I was like, I'm really sorry, he told me he did that, and I didn't ask him to do that. And he's like, I don't like the fact that you're gay. He's like, but even I know that you could do a lot better than that guy.
You've never said the first part of that conversation, girl. This is a lot to unpack for me, and I feel like I'm going through this. So obviously, because our listeners are probably like, oh my God, I'm never coming out. So let's
listen to the last episode and my part.
Let's talk about how we started getting some common ground.
But let's go, completely that middle part, that middle ground. We start talking a little bit, not even on board, just that part.
I would say around the time that Same Love came out.
By Macklemore?
Yeah. Around the time that Same Love came out, it was on the radios, and it was something that my mom heard, and it started playing on Christmas one year, and she started crying, and she was like, she's like, you knew that you were all this time, and you couldn't tell us because we made you afraid, and she finally they finally got around to understanding all the hurt that I had and why I was acting the way that I was, and why I was kind of afraid to go to them anymore, and why we were so estranged for those couple of years. And she's finally kind of started getting it, and that was just a Christmas before we found out some detrimental things about my family and what was going to be happening in the coming months. So she started coming around then, and I was getting closer with them, and I was out actually on a winter retreat for my scholarship program, and I came back from that weekend. It was a Monday, I think, or a Sunday, and I came back off the mountain after not having service, and I had voicemails and I checked the voicemails, and my dad said, "Hey, we need you to give us a call just like as soon as you can." And they had been calling me that weekend, and I hadn't been able to get a hold of them. So I called back, and they basically told me that they had found a lump in my mom's breast and that she had breast cancer. And that we were going to have to, like, just be there together as a family. And, I told them that we would get through it together. And so we did. And that started bringing us closer. There were times even during that time period where I lashed out and I was angry, and I did it while my mom was recovering in a hospital bed from one of her surgeries, but I was hurting, and I remember the feeling of that hurt so much. Me and my sister too had it out a lot of times, and we were very venomous and angry towards one another. And I just felt, I know for a long time I just felt like I had been left behind and estranged and outcast, and it hurt really bad.
Because you and your family, you're also the gay uncle too.
I am, yeah.
And the gay uncle theory, like, for those of you who haven't listened to the previous episodes, we always talk about, like, in our families there wasn't a gay uncle, and then you realize it's you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so also with my mom healing from this, we found out my sister was pregnant, and she was still in high school, and that was something too that was all just kind of happening, and it made us stay more connected, because all these things were kind of happening in our separate lives, and we just wanted to be there for each other a bit more. And so then that's when we just started spending more time together and started getting more understanding for one another. And we're still, like, I love my parents, I love my sister, I love my family. I just know that we will continue to have differing points of view and outlooks on the world. And every day we try to get more common ground, and that's all I can ask for. They just want to see me happy now at this point. They know I do drag. I drunkenly came out to them at a wedding years later after my mom reacted to me liking drag on that Facebook post. But and their first question was if I was trans, and I said no. I just enjoy,
I just enjoy being a cross-dresser.
Well, it wasn't.
Damn.
Are you trans? It wasn't that woke. It was. So are you like Caitlyn Jenner? Because it was right after Caitlyn Jenner came out. So.
Yikes.
But yeah.
Yikes.
Like a Republican.
Wow, I never heard that story either.
Republican, or like a parent to a whole bunch of rich children. Like, what did she want to know?
My gosh, that's so...
But I don't know. I have to give them credit, because it was... Here's the thing about my family. They never knew any gay people. Gay was completely foreign to them. I remember it was always bad, and that was it. I grew up very Pentecostal with my grandmother. So my dad grew up in the same kind of church. And yeah, of course, it was fire and brimstone. It was the end of the world. Thou shalt, man shall not lie with man as he does with woman. That whole thing.
Mm.
Leviticus, all of it thrown at me. It's an abomination.
Right.
So they didn't know anything else but that. And they really, the most they knew, they're Gen Xers. They grew up during kind of Reagan era. So the most familiar they were with anything gay, especially being in like a smaller city, in a smaller town, was that gay was synonymous with AIDS, and that's what would, that was their biggest worry. And they weren't even aware of like advances that have happened now with HIV and AIDS. It was just,
Right.
It was just being in that bubble and not really knowing people like me that scared them so much. The fact that I was one,
Wow.
And
Do you have any regrets about how you came out?
I wish I would have done it sooner, and I wish I would have just I wish I would have ran away and done it sooner. I don't, because the thing is, they were always going to react this way, and it's like you said last time. They were my parents were always going to react this way. I do often think about if I had come out sooner and got kicked out as a minor, like what I would have done or what would have happened.
You probably would have been put in conversion
Oh
camps.
yeah,
Oh,
I don't.
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard because I mean, my parents would get mad that I didn't want to like play football anymore. Like, if I would have came out at 16, like I saw how my dad reacted when I told him I didn't want to play football anymore.
I don't understand why that error exists, because my small story is my dad would say to me, even to this day, still says, well, I feel like if I was around more, you would have been more interested in sports. I love how parents, especially dads, think that like they have they think they have any influence on the things you're going to like or not like, which is so weird.
Yeah.
Like, your parents' job is to put you in everything possible when you're growing up and to figure out what you like and what you're interested in.
Yeah.
Like, that's so weird.
For real.
Because I had that same story.
And they did support me in the things that I loved. You know, like, I did love speech and debate. I was a theater kid. I sang in choir. My dad supported me as much as he could for, like, the choir and theater stuff because he didn't love it. My mom was very in support of me doing speech and debate and really, like, helped me thrive. They just had a different idea in their head of who I was because I was so, like, so much of my identity was so repressed as a kid that I just had to be, like, this angry person with a chip on my shoulder.
I just really wish that parents wouldn't feel like it's something that you've done to them.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, oh, I can't believe you did this to me.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I did this to the image you had of who you were raising.
Yeah.
But, like,
exactly.
these are things we can't change.
Exactly. Like, I'm not dead. I'm still here. Like, please.
Still
like,
here.
Parents need to realize you kept cum as a pet, and now, like, you
Oh
have to
my
deal with
God.
how it acts.
Oh, my God.
Thank you.
Mom watches this.
Thank you for that comedic and disgusting really.
It's true.
It is true.
Children are just cum babies.
Oh my God.
No, and the thing is, as you've heard this 3 parts now, 3 very different stories, because, like, my parents are divorced.
Mine are still together.
Autumn and Donna's parents are still together. And Autumn's parents, obviously, like you heard, were really accepting off the bat. Donna went through the very traditional story. It's not traditional anymore, per se, but the traditional story of I came out and they didn't want me around anymore and kicked me out. I had divorced parents and had to come out 3 times because my sister, my mom, and my dad. And all 3 of those were not a beautiful journey by any means. But the thing is, I think this is really helpful out there for you listeners because, like, your story is obviously going to be unique to you. And just recognizing that there are resources out there to help you do it. And Don't come out until you're ready.
Yeah, and honestly, like, things were hard for me in that week of moving. There were some nights that my friend's house wasn't available and I was staying in parks. Like, it wasn't easy completely because I didn't want to be at my parents' house so much. It was such a toxic, tense environment, and it gets that way sometimes. It gets really toxic if you know that your family can react bad. And yeah, just like Coco's saying, there are resources out there. I was watching at the time a lot of It Gets Better videos because that was at the infancy of the It Gets Better project. But
and also remember, if you're a minor and, like, you think that, like, you could get kicked out, sometimes it might be better just to, like, appease than to, like, give yourself a life where you're going to have to, like, struggle and, like, live on the streets. Just, like, wait until the second you turn 18 and then you can bounce, but you don't want to, like, put your life in danger.
yeah.
Don't, like, lie about it and, like, repress it and, like, be open with your friends, but if it's going to put you in, like, a dangerous situation, don't put yourself in something like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was the kid who knew who I was before I told my mom.
Yeah.
I very much knew who I was before I told my mom. And the thing is, like Donna said, she didn't really necessarily have regrets. But, like, the biggest regret that I have, and also the same thing I said, was my mom was always going to react the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I regret the fact that it hurt our relationship.
Yeah.
Because, just like Donna said, I was also very close with my mom.
Yeah.
I felt like I went through a lot of horrible preteen stuff. I'm in college, and she's so proud of me, and she thinks the world of me, and she's just my biggest supporter in life. And then suddenly our relationship is incredibly damaged.
Yeah.
And for me, like we said before in my episode, it took roughly 4 to 5 years for my mom to come around. It sounds like it took Donna's family, let's see, it's been a decade later now.
It is actually, no, I was just going to say, for people who, like, are in this situation or are dealing with it, it's been 2011 was when I came out. So, yeah. 2000. Holy shit, that's insane. 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 years.
Yeah, and it takes some catching up to do. I mean, it just does. And especially when, like, because the one thing that I did have over the Donna situation is
But it didn't take them 9 years, by the way. I do need to clarify that. My parents just want me happy and in a relationship someday.
But I used a relationship to push my mom over the edge. And that's when we had a lot of those negative talks, obviously, years later. Because I wasn't willing to sacrifice any more time with my mom, especially if I wasn't dating anybody. I did. That's what I gave up. I was like, well, we're not going to talk about it because I'm not dating anyone.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how long it would take me to date someone. And so that's why when I came out at 22, then I met my ex at 24. So, like, it took 2 years, and then that relationship was lasting. So it was about 2.5 years before I started pushing the subject for my mom to get on board.
Yeah. Because
it is. Being a single parent, like, I didn't want to make her life any more harder than it needed to be.
Yeah.
So, so we're at 40 minutes, everybody, and I know that these stories are really difficult. I'm so sorry that we can't leave it on a more positive note. Go back to listen to last episode and listen to Autumn's journey and Want to Hate Her because it was so great.
But no, thank you for listening. I needed to get this off my chest, my very hairy chest.
So this has taken us to the end of our episode. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Donna's story, and I hope that it does something for you. Please reach out to her on Instagram. What's your Instagram, Kurt?
It's Donatella_my_secrets. So check that out. This has been a Gem of a Secret podcast. My name is Donatella My Secrets.
My name is Coco Gem Holiday.
And I'm sad.
And she's Autumn.
Rain's hard.
And Autumn.
And Autumn.
And we will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Toodles.
This has been another episode of A Gem of a Secret podcast. The hosts of A Gem of a Secret podcast are Donatella My Secrets and Coco Gem Holiday. You may follow Donatella My Secrets at Donatella_My Secrets on Instagram. You may follow Coco Gem Holiday at Coco Gem Holiday on Instagram. Original music by Touche Douche and Party Favors. You can follow them respectively at The Touche Douche and at Party Favors Music on Instagram. For more exclusive content, visit www.agemofasecretpodcast.com. That is AJEM of a secret podcast.com. Be sure to tune in every week on Thursday for a new episode wherever you listen to podcasts. If you have any comments or questions, email us at agemofasecretpod@gmail.com. Please don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.